Hi guys, so today I'm filming my Magical Readathon TBR for April. The Magical Readathon is back and we are doing owls in April this year. If you'd like to join, please click the link down below to check out Book Roast's video. She goes through all the rules, she's the host of the Readathon, and she'll explain everything there if you are interested. Today I'm showing you all the books that I've chosen for the subjects that I will be doing. I have chosen to become a Hogwarts professor because that sounds very interesting. But I've also chosen to do the additional Animagus training, which adds some prompts to it as well. So I'm going for a bit of a hardcore reading month. To be a Hogwarts professor, you have to take Defense Against the Dark Arts, the subject that you would like to teach, which I have chosen potions, and plus 5 additional subjects. Then for the Animagus training, you have to do potions, which as I've said I'm already doing, transfiguration and arithmancy. I will go through all of these subjects, tell you the prompt that is linked to them, and then show you the book that I've chosen to read for said prompt. I have chosen books that I already own copies of for April because I would like to try and diminish my TBR so that I could put new books on it. So every book that is on my TBR for April, I have chosen a book that I already have copies of, be it digital or physical, so that I can read through some of them instead of buying new books because I'm doing really bad at not buying this year. So everything I already own, shouldn't have to spend any money. Cross your fingers that I'll be on a book buying ban for April and I'll actually stick to it. The first subject that I have to do is Defense Against the Dark Arts. The prompt for that is to read a book that is set at the sea or the coast. I couldn't find any books to fit this prompt, but then I remembered I actually have an arc on my Kindle for Feathertide, which is about a mermaid. So I'm assuming she lives in the sea as she is a mermaid. That kills 2 birds with 1 stone because I get to read an arc that I've been meaning to read and review, and then I can also fulfill my prompt, so that works perfectly. The next prompt was the hardest to fulfill, and that is potions, read a book under 150 pages. That sounds very, very easy physically to read, but I can't find a book under 150 pages on my TBR, so I'm going to have to read one that I've already read, which I've chosen The Tales of Beedle the Bard, J.K. by J.K. Rowling. I've read this many a time and I read it recently, so I don't really want to read it again, but I also don't want to buy a book, so we're just going to live with it and read this book again. Even though I don't want to read this book, I am going to, just to fill the prompt. This is only 102 pages, 107 pages, I think. 103. So it will take me no time to get through it. It'll be a speedy read, so I'm just gonna go with it. It'll fulfill a prompt very quickly and very easily. Next we have Charms, which the prompt for Charms is to read a majoritively white covered book. So for this I've chosen The Krill Prince by Holly Black. This is the first book in the Folk of the Air series. Didn't particularly want to start a series that I'd then have to go and buy all the books of, but it'll be fine. The next class is Herbology, which is to read a book starting with M, and I only had one of these on my shelf, and that is My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. This was a very recent purchase. This is the most recent book to go on my TBR. And yeah, it's the only thriller of the month. I feel like I'm going to really miss my thrillers. I really am. I've got a lot of fantasy this month. This book has a really, really short blurb. It's just about a couple who have dark secrets. I don't want to know anymore. That sounds very intriguing. Being my only thrill of the month, I'm going to savour every second of this. The next class is A History of Magic, which is to read a book that featuring a witch or a wizard. The obvious choice would have been Harry Potter, but I fancied reading something different because Harry Potter would have been a reread, and I'm trying to get things off my TBR. So instead I went with Circe by Madeline Miller. This book, I don't know if it's about witches, but it does say in the blurb that she starts looking into the power of witchcraft, which to me means she's a witch. This is one of the books that has been on my TBR the longest, so I would really, really like to get this off there next month and see if I actually like it, because a lot of people really do seem to like this book. The next subject to be a Hogwarts professor is Muggle Studies, which is to read a contemporary, so I have gone with The Flat Shed by Beth O'Leary. I picked this up a couple of weeks ago, really wanted to read it, and I just haven't got around to it yet because contemporaries aren't my favourite thing. You know, I don't love romance books, but I can enjoy a really good one, and this one has got a really interesting plot line that they never really seem to meet. They don't seem to meet for a very long time, and I think that's quite interesting. The final subject that I have chosen for being a Hogwarts professor is The Care of Magical Creatures, which is to read a book with an animal on the cover that has a beak. That was harder than it sounds. So I have only had a couple of options. Harry Potter and The Prisoner of Azkaban, which if you saw my wrap up for last month, I literally just finished, so I'm not reading that again. And the only other option I could find was The Hunger Games, which I have not read, shockingly enough. And I have the trilogy on my bookshelf, so I thought next month, why not start this? I do want to do a reading vlog reading The Hunger Games, so this will help me. I'll start filming that in April, and it'll be like 2 birds with 1 stone, half the magical readathon, but half also starting my vlog of reading through the series. I don't know if anyone else has done that. I'll have to have a look and see, in case I'm stealing someone's idea and didn't know about it yet. Obviously I've seen the films, I get it. I've got the gist of what happens, but we'll see if the books are any better, because I didn't like the films. And I know a lot of people say that the films don't quite measure up to these, so I'm hoping you're all right and this will be a much better experience for me. Moving on to the animagus training, obviously there are 3, as I've told you, so that's potions, arithmancy and transfiguration. I've already given you my potions prompt. It's the same, I'm not reading another book. Moving on to transfiguration is to pick a book with shape-shifting. Now I could be wrong, but I have chosen The Children of Blood and Bone by Tony Adeyemi. I asked on Twitter if this had shape-shifting in it, because on the Magical Readathon we have a Excel spreadsheet which will give you books that fill the prompts, and 2 people wrote this down, but I didn't realise this had shape-shifting in it. I still don't know because I'm not sure, but I can only go off what they said in the grid, so I've put this in. The final prompt, thank goodness, is arithmancy, which is just to read a book outside of your favourite genre. I could have gone for anything, but I went for Cinder by Marissa Meyer. So this is the first book in the Lunar Chronicles. I own the first 2. This is a sci-fi. I'm not into sci-fi. I've been meaning to read this because everybody seems to love it. So that is everything on my TBR for April. This video was very, very hard to film. I don't know why I struggled so much, but my words kept stumbling. So if this is very choppy, that is why. I just really struggled. I hope you all are having a great afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.